Howdy do. Well, it is almost dark out here, and as it turns out, I had one good night where I was like, okay, got my sleeping schedule, cool. I slept well, woke up at a decent hour, and then I don't know what the hell's wrong with me. I do know what the hell's wrong with me, but it just doesn't make any sense. But um, I'm up till like 8 o'clock in the morning. So not adjusted to the new dosage, which is a quarter reduction. But I'm staying with it. I'm just gonna go ahead and stay with it. You know, my capacity for suffering is not limitless, but it is weighty. And hmm, I was thinking about like um, so I watched the whole Anne of Green Gables remake where they added in a whole bunch of social issues which were not part of the book. Then I'm like, that got me to thinking because it's a series on Netflix called Anne with an E, and I got to thinking I never actually listened to the book written in 1908 by Lucy Maud Montgomery, and so I don't know. There's a lot of horses in it, but I didn't find the book particularly well written. Um, it's very clear why it's been enduring and appealing, though, because it's very easy to sympathize with the main character. Then so I listened to the book. It's only about 8 hours long. The person that read it, because they have this thing called LibriVox. I guess lib for free and vox for voice. And, any slob like me could record a book. And I don't know. I don't think I think they're volunteers and you don't get compensated. But they had the woman that read this did an excellent job and could do voices and all that stuff that I can't do. Because this is pretty much it's kind of difficult with a voice like this to do a woman's voice. I mean, I'm not a professional, uh, so I can't oh, how are you doing? Would you care for a spot of tea, madam? That's just gonna sound silly. God decided to make me a foghorn, and that's that. I can do swing low, sweet chariot, low enough to carry me home. And I can sing horribly, and then I can reach those baritones that a lot of people can't reach. It makes it very good for yelling at people, though. I'm really good at yelling if I need to yell. I prefer not to. But I got to thinking about it, and it's like, okay, this girl talks a lot. I mean, a lot. Uses a lot of big words. Feels a huge sense of alienation. Had a very difficult childhood. Lived in her head with her hopes and dreams. Why would I sympathize with this character, or why would I, as a 50-year-old man, sit through a whole series about a little orphan girl? And it's like, oh, okay, I kind of get it now, because we all have those blind spots concerning ourselves. It's easy to see the freckles on somebody else's nose. To use a reference, because all that girl was, and you can also relate to the immediacy of childhood in it. Like where everything is like a huge freaking deal, and it's like the immediacy of youth. I'll use that phrase to describe it. It's like when you're young, every little slight, every little hurt, every little like compliment is amplified. Like you can remember. I bet you can, but I bet you can remember being insulted when you were young and having your feelings hurt. Like I said on here that I was proud, especially if you're proud of something, and then have, you know, what people say matters, you know. So like when I was working out with weights, and I started to get a little bit of muscles on me, and I showed my dad, and he said, "I've seen more muscles on a mosquito." You know, I never forgot that. Like that was 37 years ago, 38 years ago. Never forgot it. You know, I never forgot like um, being embarrassed in school, or you know, the mean things that people say to you and stuff. It's like so that is another sounding point, or why that novel's still around, and still has still touches people, if you want to use that expression. Um, Even though it was written, what is that, 111 years ago? Even though it was written 111 years ago, because it touches on things we can all relate to. You know, not all of us, but a lot of us. Alienation, feeling different, feeling ugly, um, or weird looking. Um, the slights of childhood. I know you got one you can remember if you think hard enough right now, where you're like, yeah, that stung, and then you carry that with you. It's so there was like I said, I didn't like the way the novel was written. There's a rule in movies: show, don't tell, and you can, as odd as that sounds, it also works in books. Like one of the things I like Dean Koontz's imagination, but he's always telling you how these people are feeling. And it's like, look, dude, I can figure that shit out. And plus, it like um, kind of like a controlling thing, you know. And part of part of reading a book is like you can personalize a book more than a movie, because you have to do so much more work. I mean, you can see how the hurt in someone's eyes, but like in the situations in a book, um, you like you can miss it, you can catch it, or you can feel it deeply. I mean, it's like a book is like more open, and you have to put more of yourself into it. Um, but as far as like the Anne of Green Gables thing, or the whole character of Anne, it's like I didn't like the way the book was written, and I think also like um, since there's so much repression in there, because it is about the transfer of like Victorian attitudes of being prim and proper, and then the hmm, iconoclastic, uh, no rules, raised like a heathen, and person comes in there and shakes everything up. But there's all that repression in there, and that's an actor's job, is to uh, would to fill in those blanks for you, you know, and then you can see it in her eyes, like the one character is like repressed old lady, and you know she's starting to feel things through this little girl, and so in that case, that people like to say, "Oh, the book's much better than the movie." That isn't always true. I mean, visually it works a lot better, you know, and it has in the style of the book is very abrupt. But anyways, I didn't mean this to be a book club, but actually did that. It's like, okay, I watched that show when I watched the movie from 1985, and then I have a lot of free time, and then I listened to the book. And plus, since I'm tapering, I mean, I'm not feeling all that great anyway, and I need things to think about and to kill my time. Because this is all pretty fresh, I think it's only the 15th. It feels like it should be the 25th. So, it feels like a lot longer than 5 days, especially when you're not sleeping right. And I had one good night's sleep there where I went to sleep around 1:30 in the morning and woke up around 9 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like, okay, this is a little more like it. And then I got sleepy yesterday, 5, 6 o'clock in the afternoon, and slept, and I'm like, ah, fuck it, I'll just stay awake until I get sleepy, and then I don't get sleepy. So, yeah. Ye old benzo receptors are not happy right now. No, I did that wrong. Ye old GABA receptors are not happy right now. Uh, they were like, oh man, we gotta do more work. And I was like, look, you lazy sons of bitches, you need to get back on track. You know, you're gonna have to compensate for the lack of benzodiazepines in your system, and you're gonna have to do your job, and that's that. So I'm not going back up. Um, I know I did a 180 on that. I was like, I ain't tapering in this joint, you know. But right now, I'm thinking like I might as well. I mean, I got that depression shit that makes me not want to get on the phone. The next thing I have to do is on the 21st, I have to go into the dentist and get my teeth messed with some more. And hmm. So I don't know if this is a good plan of action or not. I know it's difficult. I was thinking about restringing my guitar and taking that up again, but I don't have an effects board to play through. But I can play it even unplugged and try to get the calluses back on my fingers. Because as you may or may not know, if you do not have calluses on your fingers, metal strings will tear them up. What's the end of Helter Skelter by the Beatles? I got blisters on my fingers. So I may have to do that out of self-preservation. And I just can't you know, I watched this movie, and I'm like, I'm very aware of the amount of time I have left on this earth now. You know, and it's like there's another grain of sand out the top of the hourglass. You know, and then I watch series, and I'm just laying around not doing anything. I fucking hate it. And then I'm like housebound and don't get outside. And for exercise, just walk up and down this long hallway that I live in. Oh, here's my new coffee mug. That was a birthday or Christmas present. I don't know which, but it was just sitting outside my door one day. Um, but yeah. Now that's what there's universal themes involved in being a human being that transcend age, time frame, gender. You know, um, and if you write something that touches upon those things, you can connect with them over a century later, which is pretty cool. Uh, I also watched a documentary about Lon Chaney, and he was The fascinating thing about Lon Chaney is he was a silent actor, right? I did not know this. Both of his parents were deaf. He That's like a perfect setup for a silent actor because he would like, he'd like work out stuff in pantomime, and he was already doing sign language and stuff, but he would take it even further, and he couldn't use his voice to express emotion, so he I mean, I don't know what that's like, but that's what I gathered. That using my imagination, I would imagine that would be that what that was like. So he's just known as a horror actor, but he really only did like two horror movies. Just one of them was really famous, Phantom of the Opera. But at first he didn't want to talk in movies because nobody really knows why. And yeah, he was an interesting character. That was an interesting documentary. Um, if you like that sort of thing, but I found that fascinating that both of his parents were deaf. So, and then he worked in silent film. I don't think that's too much of a coincidence that he excelled at that. And I remember something about Marlon Brando too, that his loneliness was so extreme in childhood that like he talked to the farm animals and stuff. I might be getting that mixed up, but I think I remember it that way. That a lot of these artsy fartsy types, these actors and writers and whatnot, had very lonely, often difficult childhoods, and had to use their imagination to survive. And I guess I would fall into that category. Um, what makes me wordy? I don't know. I've always been wordy. Uh, that's my nature. I noticed that when I would talk on the phone to people when I used to keep in touch better. They would just sit there. If I didn't talk, they would just sit there and wait for me to talk. I was always the catalyst of the conversation. You know, and they just kind of sit and wait and like what's this fool gonna say next? Or so it's just something I noticed. But some people seem to like this kind of thing. So um, yeah, and I need a new sleeping pill anyway. Apparently, so I can go back to listen to this, and it's like a repeat for me. And then depending upon the quality of my voice and the quality of the recording, it's comforting to me. I won't deny it. If that makes me egomaniac, then I'm an egomaniac. I can't get the lighting right. I never can. I did send my cool lamp, where I never had any problem getting the lighting right, over to my brother finally, and he fixed it, but it's still over there, and he doesn't drive, and I don't drive because my father didn't believe in nurturing children in that way and teaching them things. So, you know, yeah. Uh, like I said, out of seven children, one of them committed suicide, and five of them can't drive. Um, Actually, one of them can drive but refuses to get her license for some reason or another. The one that I bought the car for. And then my older brother, I think he learned to drive in driver's ed or something like that. But I mean, if you don't have a job, you can't make any money, and your father don't buy you a car, and he's not going to teach you how to drive, and your mom doesn't drive, you better you got to find like a relative or something like that. But it never even occurred to me, like when I was young, it's like, well, I can drive. I can still drive with hand controls even if my feet don't work right. Because I tried to drive a couple of times, which I recounted on here. One time I did a Dukes of Hazzard jump in this old van. This van was red and it looked like a child abduction type van. It was just a it was just a nasty looking vehicle, and it had a sticker on the back that did not help you with the police department that said urban assault vehicle, because the guy who owned it had a sense of humor, and he sold it to my foster brother for $500, and everybody was like, well, you can driving's easy, you know. I can't explain CRPS to people, like it's just too weird. And I'm like, oh, I'll give it a try, and couldn't control my feet, you know. So instead of hitting the brake, I hit the gas, and we're on a raised parking lot that had a hill sloping down, and I hit the gas and jumped it, and somehow kept the nose of the van up, and then I don't. How much of a drop would that be? I'd have to go back and look at it. At least 8 feet. It was like at least 8 feet, and then we hit boom. We didn't well-made vehicle, so we didn't break any axles or anything like that. Just bounced in the road, and then I was flying up in the air because, uh, yeah, it was a Dukes of Hazzard type of shit. If you remember that show, I jumped a van off a parking lot and hit the road, which we could have rolled it if I would have not accelerated to ridiculous speed and kept the heavier part of the vehicle, the engine part up, you know. So we would have rolled it down there, and then my cousin would have definitely got hurt because this vehicle did not have a passenger seat in it. It had a kitchen chair. I'm not shitting you. Um, it had a kitchen chair for a passenger seat. The vehicle had one seat in it, and that was the driver's seat. Like I said, it was a creepy fucking van. And yeah, so I remember looking over at him as we were flying through the air, and his kitchen chair, come off the ceiling, and I think he might have, or came off the ground, and I think he might have bumped his head on the ceiling. But I don't know if I ever told that story before. Um, I have lots and lots of memories, so, and lots of strange stories locked inside me. A treasure trove of madness. So, yeah. Now, we got stopped by the police in that vehicle. Not, when I say we, I mean our group. I was not in the vehicle, but got stopped by the police and had a kitchen chair for a passenger seat. And they let my cousin and my brother go after harassing them because the vehicle didn't fit the neighborhood, which oh, that's a good reason to stop you for being poor. And we went through this rich neighborhood that had a minnow pool, but we went in a shitty vehicle because we were poor. And a guy come out of his house and was ostentatiously, so we would know it, writing down our license plate. And this other guy that I was with was like, hey, we got to get out of here. So this dude's over here writing down our license plate number. And I'm like, why is he doing that? And he's like, you'll get that. He explained to me. It's like, you'll get that. You take a shitty looking vehicle into a nice neighborhood. They just assume because you're poor, uh, you want to steal their shit. You're, you know, you're looking at all these grand houses with all these fancy possessions in there, and why else would you be going through there? I don't know, because it's a damn road. But really, there was like a minnow pool that was right beside the road, and a stream ran under the road. And that's why we were parked there. We were parked there for a long time, and somebody came out and did that. Anyways, yeah, a kitchen chair for a passenger seat. Uh, That would be funny if you made like a makeshift seat belt and I think this was pre seatbelt law days, I believe. Um, I don't remember when they made that law, but suppose it was during the seatbelt days. That'd be funny as hell if you made like a makeshift seatbelt across the kitchen chair and uh, like, officer, I'm buckled in. The seat's not even connected, and I got a visual image in my head of when I jumped the van off of the parking lot, um, of him flying up in the chair, and then he was like, "Get out!" And then I was laughing about it because I thought it was funny. He didn't think it was very funny, you know. He was like, "Get out!" And I'm like, "Okay." And we switched places, and I went and sat in the kitchen chair. Um, he didn't fall over. I think I would remember that, but I remember him flying up in the air because it was the kitchen chair. And how old could I have been? Let's see, 20, 21, 22, 23, somewhere in there. He learned how to drive late too because he also had poor parenting. Poor parenting. A difficult childhood. I can't talk right sometimes with my teeth being what they are. Poor parenting. So yeah, now that I've tortured you with that. Uh, but yeah, that's just, you can't make. I couldn't make that up. I'm not that imaginative. Somebody was though. They were like, oh, put a kitchen chair in here because it only has the drivers. It was a creepy vehicle. That's the thing I remember about it. It was maroon. It wasn't in the best shape in the world. It had no windows, and it had urban assault vehicle on a big, huge bumper sticker. But the bumper sticker was up high. It wasn't on the bumper. And yeah, but you do that, you like, this way, boom, and hit the street, and you bounce up and down. And yeah, you don't forget something like that. That's gonna be stuck in your head somewhere. But I haven't made a long time wasting a video, and oh my god, it must be as much as a week. So I thought I might as well do it. Um, I bought a bunch of different food, uh, like some bagels and some cream cheese and some yogurt and some milk to go with cereal to try to uh, offset the steady Meals on Wheels diet. Everybody says they're terrible, but I grew up poor, so some of them are pretty bad, but most of them are completely edible to me, and I don't like to cook, so I don't care. I've never cared about food. As long as I had enough to eat. There's things that I like to eat better than other things, as I've said before, but uh, is yeah, I can't really say I grew up poor. I grew up like middle class until my dad lost his job. His phone's having a fit. What the hell's going? How do I shut you off? Whatever's making all that noise. I think I broke this thing. I only dropped it once. God damn it. Am I getting a bunch of phone calls, or is this thing just... This is this Obama phone they call? Nobody's calling me. Nobody's messaging me. This thing's just a mess. Okay, I got one new message and it made all those... Oh, hell, I don't know. No, those are old. Yeah, I got one new message and it had to tell me it about 6 times. The fuck ever. Um, yeah, I dropped that thing and now that it doesn't hold a charge. And that's the phone that I get the free minutes on. Because I thought I was going to be out of here I thought that I was going to have help getting out of here. I didn't think it was going to be on me. I thought like, oh, that's what this agency's for, because they put up, that meth head guy. And I thought, you know, I didn't understand the requirement was to be a total fuck up. And I'm only like half a fuck up. So, you got to be like some kind of homeless drug addict. You know, you have to be like, have no other options. So I was like, I'll get the old house phone. That'll save me $40 a month. Get rid of the house phone, get this free phone, and then I'll have, then I'll move, and if I want to get a house phone or whatever, or if I want to get a cell phone plan, which I've never had. I've always just used burners and the house phone. I can do that when I move, and that was months and months and months ago, and of course things didn't. Yeah, things didn't work out. Well, things didn't work out the way I wanted to. Huge surprise. But, for instance, all that focus was on the Browns. And so I figured like that would be an easy way to make a little bit of money. So sunk a couple $1,000 into that. And I'm like, well, I'll flip that. And by the time I flip those cards, I'll make a profit off of the cards, and I'll have money saved in the few months I have to wait for the season to start. And then like the Browns season, total disaster. It was a total disaster to the point where they even fired the GM, the general manager. So yeah, that didn't work out. The phone didn't work out. The knee thing didn't work out. Um, yeah, the you know all the stories. There, lots of shit didn't work out the way I wanted it to. So, and I really don't know if like doing the taper thing again is like just pointless masochism. But I think if I keep to myself, and I'll be all right. As screwed up as that sounds, because people are toxic. Uh, Not you, of course. Present company accepted. We're perfectly fine. I'm just saying, like, I got involved in all the bullshit in these stupid people's lives in this building, and these other people that I know over here's lives, and yeah, like I said, I got broken toes for it. I got aggravation and abuse, and uh, yeah, I had a weird relationship going on with the war vet guy, which yeah, I won't say that about him, but I think maybe he has some issues that run pretty damn deep. I'll just let your imagination do the work there, because I don't like saying that stuff about people. But yeah, when you got somebody like imitating your hairstyle like on a whim, and that has hair and that's clipping their hair on the porch with a beard trimmer, and thinking that his hair is going to blow away and the birds are going to make nests out of his hair. Um, yeah. So, yeah, I think I can do this tapering thing here, and uh, I think, and I'll just snap out of it. I usually do. Okay, I just snap out of it. I'll adjust to this dose, or one day I'll just pick up the phone and I'll start making phone calls. That's usually how it works with me. Like Anne Shirley in those novels, I'm fairly resilient when it comes to such things, but I have down periods, and where I don't want to do anything. I'm like, I don't want to do anything. So like, well, what's good for not doing anything? Cut your benzos, work on the taper, and like I said, I just kind of fell into that anyway. So I was like, I'll work on it in earnest, And once I start sleeping regular, and I'll do it like you're supposed to do it. Like once I start feeling better, I will take I'm taking half pills 3 times a day. So I'll take the middle pill and I'll just cut it in half. And then if I feel any effects from that, okay, I'll wait a little while. But if I don't feel any effects from that, then I'll be like, cool, maybe just do that. I'm impatient though, is the thing. So I would like to just take the whole pill and throw it out. But you got to be patient with the benzo thing, because your body and your brain can only take so much. But at the same time, the longer that you're on it, that's the one like standard rule, is the longer you've been taking them, the longer it's going to take to get off of them, the longer it's going to take for your body to adjust and your benzo receptors to start. Why do I keep saying benzo receptors? GABA receptors to start doing their job on their own. And then, there's always the specter, and it's a hell of a specter. It's a hell of a fearful thought to have a BWS, where it's an ongoing thing, and that I'm already fucked up physically with the CRPS and stuff, so it's like, I want to get off of this. The reason why I was like, nope, not tapering here, not carrying no more, is because I was supposed to be out of here, because the Browns only needed to win 3 games. They really only needed to beat the Rams. Then I was going to dump all those cards and get that money back. And but now I'm just going to hold on to them. And I had a plan worked out. The plan just didn't work, So, yeah. But you really got to be selfish. You just got to be flat out selfish when you're tapering, because hey, it's not going to work if you're just out of being a generous or selfless person, allowing toxic people to fuck with you and get on your nerves, or people that don't, even people that don't understand the situation, and they're not mean people, but I find isolation to be annoying and nerve-wracking, but a lot less annoying and nerve-wracking than being around people, because people seem to be toxic. And a lot of times it's not even their fault. They're not even saying anything that bad. It's just you're in benzo withdrawal, so you're gonna take you're gonna be like a little child. I'll bring it back around. You see, you're gonna be like a little child, and everything. You're gonna be all sensitive, and things are gonna get under your skin, and you're gonna get your feelings hurt quicker and whatnot. So, isolation I can do. I can do time in solitary. Uh, yeah. But being around people that are fucked up in the head, and there's plenty of them around here, everyone in this fucking building, not that I'm perfect, but it's fucked up in the head. So, landlord, very fucked up in the head. He thinks he's a good dude. He actually does think he's a good dude. Uh, yeah. I still have contact with a couple of family members, you know. But I'll go ahead with the isolation thing. And I don't know how much longer I'm going to be here, but it's really apparent that it's up to me. And, I'm 52 years old. It should be up to me, but I thought maybe that agency would be like, um, making some calls, providing some transportation. I mean, maybe I'll talk to the uh, caseworker guy and see if I can make appointments over the phone and he would give me transportation because he did mention something about driving, willing to drive people places. So maybe that's a possibility, but right now I'm kind of yeah, I'm kind of messed up right now, so it's continued to be messed up. And sometimes that's just the way it is, though, with depression and stuff. Is you don't want you want to get help. You don't want it to be too bad, but there's people people really don't understand your. If you got something weird like I got, they don't kind of understand your personality. They can't understand what you've been through and what you came through anyway. So talking to them is, you know, me. I understand me fairly well. I don't understand me completely. I am much too crazy to to understand myself completely, but I understand myself um, better than anybody else. So I do this online therapy thing, and if anybody is amused by it or finds it interesting, that's cool. Yeah, I don't know. Um, See, tonight I'm really gonna be. It's gonna be a long night tonight because I'm not. You know, you feel like you want to manipulate your sleeping pattern too. Like that doesn't work for me. It's like, oh, I'll just go ahead and take more benzos, and then you're just awake anyway, and you failed as far as sticking to your taper. Like, nah, just wait and get sleepy, and then I have to be awake at 10 o'clock tomorrow, and then um, at 3:30. And so waking up at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, not a good plan. But whatever. It's just one day. I can be sleepy for one day. Um, Besides all the physical suffering and torment and not being able to wear a shirt and the isolation and the lack of human contact and physical affection, this is a pretty easy life. You know, uh, as far as I don't have to. I don't have a lot of things to do, but to a lot of people, that's like to my brother, that's utterly intolerable. Um, he's got to have a project. He's got to be busy. He's got to be doing something. And to me, like I can sit there and waste time and binge watch a series on Netflix, but I resent the time lost as something that could be better spent doing something else because I don't know how much time I have left on this earth, and it's like the gamer people. It's like yeah, I don't want to insult any gamer people, but if any of them are watching them, you're probably playing video games right now because you're doing something, or at least you feel like you're doing something. But what are you really doing? I mean, yeah. Um, I want to feel like I'm doing something. I don't feel it. Yeah, I feel like a failure, like musically. But I bought my own first guitar. Nobody. The only thing anybody taught me on guitar was how to tune a guitar, and then that's pretty much it. And um, so, yeah, it's called being an autodidact, like being a self-teacher. But that only goes so far, especially like with music. If you don't have a musical ear, it's like so. If I could get back into that. Um, my gray guitar, which appears in a couple of videos on here. I paid like $100 to have it. Well, they call it set up, but you take it into a professional and you basically, get your tune up if it's a car. And they put nines on it, which I like it eights on it. I like very little string tension. Uh, I, it's why some guitarists. Oh man, I'm getting too technical about guitars. I'm trying. You got to have them universal subjects like alienation and feelings and stuff that everybody can relate to. But it's why people tune down a guitar is like you can bend and manipulate the strings more. And rather than tune down the guitar, I'd rather stick in the key of E and play on eights, and then deal with the high string tension, which you have to adjust to anyway. I haven't touched a guitar in like a year at least, and and two, my fingers aren't strong enough to do the bends and whatnot that you need to do. So I just prefer to play with lighter gauge strings, which don't have to be as uh, taut, and they're not as it's not as brutal on the fingers. It all depends on the type of guitar too. Uh, it seems to me that like some guitars, nines are like when I use nines on a Fender Stratocaster, not a problem. Nines on this Carvin, yeah, it's all different. I don't know why that would be. I don't know. Like I said, nobody taught me too much about guitars or music. But yeah, that's something. I don't have anything really to play a guitar through except for like an amplifier, and I have to play it clean. And I always like to play it dirty, and I like distortion, and I don't. My pedal's at somebody else's house right now, so I just like, man, they can have it. I ain't going back here. So um, I don't care. I don't want to buy a new one. But yeah, it's something I could think about, and it's reacquaint myself with the guitar. Um, I don't have a lot of patience, but I can run through some simple things and get my fingers in shape. You gotta have like patience for it, but I'd like to think guitar again. I even bought that guitar. Maybe I'll tack it on to here. And so I got no goddamn ambition to do anything. That's what irritates me. I don't want to do anything. But I got this. I told you about this guitar I had before, but it's a fretlight. It's called a fretlight guitar, and it lights up the fretboard with different patterns. And I'm like, oh, that's, you know, so it has like little lights on it. I have to maybe I'll do that for some sort of ambition thing. Drag that out and light that up for you. Except for I'd have to figure it out. That's I don't know if you remember me talking about that, but um, I bought a left-handed fretlight guitar, which cost me a lot more. I could have got a right-hander for much less, like I'm talking $100 less. And but being left-handed, they you know supply and demand thing. But you can fix a left-handed guitar so it's right-handed. So the lights are lit up right-handed. So when I first got it and I started playing it, I'm like, wait a minute, something's very wrong here. And then I just did something like it has a program to it, and I punched in open C and it lit up an open C, and I'm like, okay, that's backwards. C's like this. It's not like this. It's backwards. I'm like, why is a left-handed guitar lit up for a right-hander? So I would have to figure out how to do that. But maybe I'll save this video and I'll show you that guitar. I mean, I gotta do something besides prattle on here. I can prattle on endlessly, believe me, about books. I've had to live in my head, and I've swum in a sea of words my entire life. So that's not a problem. Finding something to say, something to talk about. I've had a bizarre life, and to come up with stories like, I don't know, assault vans with passenger seats instead of real seats, or passenger seats made out of kitchen chairs. instead of an actual seat that's connected to something. This thing's just loose in here. In other words, like if you stop too fast in that vehicle, guy's head's hitting the windshield. It's not ifs, ands, or buts. And if you accelerate too fast, he might fall over. And it's been too long ago, but you might have done that a couple of times for a joke. When you're young, you do shit like that. Just like floor it and accelerate too fast. And then if the guy doesn't grab that handle to the door, he's flying over backwards because he's just in a kitchen chair. But yeah, I'm gonna break out the fret light. Maybe I'll do something with my long night rather than have another long dark night of the soul, or sit around and watch TV shows. Um, but I can do that, break that out, mess with that, and see what I can do with that. And um, first, I have to figure out how to flip it around to where it's the lights are left-handed. And the other thing I can do is I have to wear a shirt though, and maybe a hat, and look presentable, and take a shave. But I was talking about just like referring people to that Heather Ashton video, and I've been thinking about it, like just like make titles like problems with Ativan or lorazepam, problems with Xanax or alprazolam, problems with diazepam or Valium, and run through them and have different titles, but make the same video. Put up separate videos, but it's the same video. The same video with separate titles, like multiple, if you know what I mean, like multiple videos. Because, like I said, when I started taking Xanax, I didn't know what a benzo was. So Xanax to me was Xanax. I didn't even know that its real name was alprazolam. I didn't know anything about it when I started taking it. So, you know, if somebody's like, this stuff is weird and they don't know benzos, like the dental technician that I talked to, she didn't know the word benzodiazepines, and I was like, well, people just call them benzos. And she says, benzos. I think I can remember that. So there's a lot of people out there that don't even know that word. And there's probably people like me out there that, were taking the stuff and didn't know that word either, but they knew the name of the drug that they were taking. So, your doctor is not going to sit down with you because they're assholes, and I don't know why and say this is a benzodiazepine. It's they're not going to be like one of those commercials where like side effects may include nausea, dizziness, lack of the will to continue living. You know what I mean? So they don't tell you this stuff. So I imagine they're like, well, this, you're saying you have anxiety. This drug is prescribed with anxiety, and they treat you like you're a fucking moron and you can't understand words. So they're not going to tell you benzodiazepine, and they're not going to, say a lot of people have problems with this medication and whatnot. They're not going to do that. I can almost guarantee you they're not going to say this is probably not a good idea. If they're going to prescribe it for you, they're going to be like, oh, you got nerves? Well, let's see, let's go ahead. Like my doctor's probably not that uncommon an example where he did not know who Heather Ashton was and cut my dose 50%. There's a lot of ignorance out there. So, being one of those ignorant people, I'm going to approach it from where I was like 5 years ago and just put down the names. I at least knew the name of what I was taking. But make the same video just saying like, if you're having issues with this, if you feel like you would want to not take this, just something really short. I'll work out in my head, but I'll put a shirt on so it's not off-putting, and I won't be a chattering naked ape like I appear in my videos, and laying in bed, but look like a respectable a decent member of society, I can fake it for 5 minutes or so, and keep it real short, and just say click on the link, and then it has that little short video which pretty much tells you all you need to know about withdrawing from it. And they will be like, huh. Somebody might be like, huh, well, why, what's this deal, why is people wanting to withdraw from this stuff, and then they'll click on other stuff, and you know I don't know what to compare it to. Like uh, just a little like toe in the water for people, to help them realize that they're in over their head. Yeah, I could work on that. Mm. I can't like randomly conjure up funny stories about various things that happened to me in my life, though. They just pop in my head. The van thing, I don't really think about those things, or I'm too old. I'm an ancient 52-year-old. There's like young 52-year-olds, and then there's people that have been through some things. I've been through a lot of things, so I'm like a very old 52-year-old, which is very funny that I'm a sweet little virgin, but I have no illusions about anything, which is kind of funny, um, if you think about it, you know. Then, like, I heard about this thing on the internet where, like, this Joker movie was supposed to upset these people they call themselves incels. I guess this is an internet thing, but there's a group of, like, I think they're like frustrated teenage boys or whatever, but they call themselves involuntary celibates instead of virgins, because virgin's like a dirty word or whatever, and celibacy, they call themselves involuntary celibates, and then but they just shorten it to incels. So they were like, um, they were worrying about incels identifying with the Joker and going all cool. I think I can't remember the guy's first name. The guy that did the Virginia Tech University shooting, where it was very clear that that was a very sexually frustrated person, and he did like a manifesto type video before he went and killed all these people, and they talked about him, and like he was like incredibly socially awkward, and obviously the first step to getting inside a woman's heart, let alone her pants, is being able to talk to one. Like in Anne of Green Gables, they had the Matthew guy never is an old dude that never got married, and then the young girl said, "Haven't you ever gone courting?" And he goes, "Well, no." And she was like, "Why not?" He says, "Well," he's like, "Well, first you have to talk to him," and he couldn't talk. He was like very shy and could barely talk to anybody. So he's always like stammering and whatnot. But anyways, uh, incels. That I thought it was a terrorist thing when I heard about it, but yeah, I don't keep up with these things. But I just happened across that, and I like to look at reviews for movies sometimes to see what other people think about movies. One of the Christmas movies that I liked that I watch around Christmas, I don't watch It's a Wonderful Life or any of the old classics or any of the new Christmas movies. The one that I like is with the one with a delusional Ben Affleck that is a rich guy that hires a family to be his family on Christmas. And it's one of the most, it's called Surviving Christmas. And it's one of like the most um, poorly it's got like a negative 32 on Rotten Tomatoes or whatever. It's like one of the it's considered a piece of crap, but I like the movie just because of the way it's really not even a well handled romance thing, but there's just a couple looks in the eyes of Christina Applegate. Their romance thing doesn't make any sense. It's handled poorly. There's no like gentle slide into it. They take a ridiculous, dangerous sleigh ride uh, through a forest where they nearly get killed, and then he falls on top of her, and they have a moment, and then like later on, there's conflict, and it's just not a good romantic type of thing they have. But I'll watch it just for a couple of moments in it, and it's funny. It has like Tony Soprano, James Gandolfini in it, and he plays the father. And then like it's got some like it's just a messed up movie, but it's a mess. But I like that movie. That's the movie I watched around Christmas. So occasionally I like to see what other people think about certain movies and what they like, you know, what they think they're about or what they like about them. Yeah, my hand's trembling a bit. You'll get that with ye old withdrawal. Um, but yeah, to go through all that, I'm a very tragical figure, don't you know? It's a thing from the Anne books, or I don't know. I think I only read the one. Um, but she uses that word tragical, and it's like supposed to be romantic. Tragedy is supposed to be a romantic thing, you know. So I have a very tragical life, but I just mostly find it absurd and ridiculous and funny at this point. I don't find my own suffering like physically funny, but I find like yeah, I find the whole idea of like being a 52-year old incel that was like had all these opportunities before uh, disease got me, and still could. I'm still a silver tongued devil. Let's face it. But you know, uh, pretty much not a thing of vanity to say that I was like a pretty good looking dude back in the day, and so I had it was it, all I had to do was like be around the female species if I wanted to not be an incel. But things just didn't work out that way, and I got isolated at a pretty early age. But I remember girls coming up to me in school and saying, "I had a dream about you last night." They weren't very subtle about it, and I had one in, like I said, I had one in a drugstore. I said, like, "Man, there's something crazy going outside. There's cops running all over the place and whatever." And she was like, she went all Anne of Green Gables, 19th century on me and said, "And me with no man to protect me." What the fuck are you even talking about? I'm like, cute girl too. I was like, yeah. So you're kind of awkward. Yeah. I mean, I had the height, I had the hair, I had the muscles going on, but I had all these physical problems underneath all that. So I looked good. Uh, you know, I've always, I think Evil Knievel said chicks dig scars. No, I don't know. Somebody said that in the movie, like chicks dig scars. So I don't think the scars would have been a problem. But other things would have been a problem if we ever got to the under the sheets part. But I had all those ample opportunities. See, this is the juicy stuff that people can relate to: alienation, uh, bizarreness, hurt feelings. Um, Because yeah, that's and loneliness, uh, that that kind of stuff. Uh, but no, I'm not. I've been known to wallow in self pity, but I don't do it much. I just get depressed where I don't want to make phone calls and stuff. But yeah, I used to have this cool coat too, man. I had this like I found like this $300 coat that was like a ski coat. That was I wore that thing out, man. But it was like um, what colors was that thing? Yellow, blue, and red. But man, I got that at the Salvation Army for like nothing, like $10, and that coat was awesome. I used to wear that coat. So, uh, in I'm in the northern regions here, so I had lots of opportunity to wear that coat, and so that caught people's eye like right off. And I think I told you one time I actually had is it uh what they call it, heat exhaustion. I had heat exhaustion where my brain was all fucked up, and I didn't realize this girl was flirting with me until I was out of the store, and because my brain was all messed up because I had heat exhaustion, and I was like, okay, my brain's not working too good right now. I'm dehydrated with heat exhaustion. I better be careful riding this here bicycle home. And yeah, like bicycle also a problem if you want to get laid. If you're riding a bicycle into your 20s, not helpful. That came up in a bar once where this one girl, uh, I'm saying girl, but these are women. But the problem is I already knew like two, two of my friends already slept with this woman, but it was my birthday, and I think it was my 30th birthday, and we were at this place called Tim's Tavern, and I knew the bartender, and the bartender was, let's just say, she was being very generous with the amount of alcohol in my Jack and Cokes. There was a lot more Jack than Coke, and so this one guy was like, I'm sitting here. The woman in question is sitting here, and this guy is sitting over here. I don't know this guy, but he's like a peripheral friend of like uh, maybe the bartender because everybody knew the bartender. Um, but he was like, dude, she's ready to go, man. It's like he's basically like she wants to go home with you, man. And he's like, he just got tired of it. And he's like if you don't want her, I want her. It's like, in other words, he's like I don't want to piss you off or nothing and do an end around, but you know. But she said something I remember that night that I didn't take much offense at or whatever. But he was talking to me, and he was like, "Yeah, things are different now, man. You just get under the sheets now, and then you get to know each other." And I don't remember what year this was, but I'm thinking this is I think it was it was the post AIDS age. So I'm like, yeah, you're still living in the '70s, dude. That's really not how things are. But he said that he was like, yeah, you get under the sheets first, and then you get to know each other. I'm like, yeah, okay, that sounds like a sensible plan. But I don't know if she uh, overheard that part of it or what. But he she was like, "What's he gonna do? Ride me home on his bicycle?" Because I wasn't riding a bicycle that night, but I was just riding with other people. And she reached underneath the bar and grabbed my hand and squeezed it and held it for like a real long time to let me know that she was just fucking with me, and that not only was she just fucking with me, but she would fuck with me later on if I wanted to, but I didn't want to. Uh, yeah, because she had screwed two of my friends, and you know, uh, uh, you reach a certain point where like you realize like it's just a masturbatory act. I mean, you might be giving pleasure to somebody else, but that's about it. But as far as like any realness or any emotional connections, it's not there anyway. And I was always a pretty shrewd cat, so I could see like nothing in common with this person. That happened a few times. So like, what's the point? Like, what's the point? And uh, I was uh, never particularly afraid. It wasn't really a matter of fear. It was just like, what's the point type of thing. Like, um, and then I would think about like the entanglement thing. Like, what if she like likes me, and I don't like her as much as she likes me, and then I could deal with the whole messy aftermath of just like the some drunken sex. You know, I talked to another guy about her, and he's like, "No, dude, you're not thinking right." He's like, "It's not gonna mean anything to her either. It's just, you know." And she showed up at my house, like, man, she has some big ass nipples, and with no bra on and some kind of yellow shirt on, and I don't. She just like showed up, and I don't remember what time of night it was, but it was pretty late, and she seemed fairly sober. But my brother and my cousin were there, and so like I don't remember seeing disappointment on her face or anything like that. But I'm like, what what's going on here? So yeah, I'd have to ask somebody with a better memory about that evening. But yeah, there was always opportunities. Like like I said, I could see that it would just be more bother than it was worth to me. Like there was a couple of women that I got rejected by that like I made an effort, but I was ham-fisted at it to say the least. Then I had to be ham-fisted later on, but uh, I just you know I was like, yeah, something about this person that there might be an opportunity for something more. Uh, wistful, wistful dreaming. But when you're in physical torture, you know, and you don't really, you know, pain simplifies things because when you're in a lot of pain, all you want to be is not in a lot of pain. It's like life becomes you're healthy, you want to do this and you want to do that, you want to do this, and you got all these ambitions and shit. And but when you're suffering, you just want to not suffer, and then you're cool. So I had gone through tremendous suffering, and then I was not suffering so much. So I was kind of like, I can do stuff. I can walk now. I can wear a shirt uncomfortably, but for long periods of time, I'm very strong physically. And when you're young, you figure sometime down the road, Then when you start to see the end of the road, you stop thinking that way. But when you're young, you got all that possibility and stuff and all that hair. And you're thinking like, well, things are turning around. So I spent my 20s like, you know, not being a sensible lad. And I just didn't want to be bothered with it. Well, I know that sounds crazy, but you gotta understand, I am crazy. I grew up in a crazy household, but I just didn't want to be bothered with it. You know, it's like the furthest I got was I got this girl in bed, and I put her hand on my dick because she was shy, and I said, "Not bad for a white boy," just as kind of a half-assed joke. And then, then I realized that I was very cruel, but I just wanted to see if I could get a girl in bed with me, to where like if I wanted to, it was there. So that was a very cruel thing to do to her. I could at least, it's not nice, but she was too young, and by too young I mean she was 22, and I was having my midlife crisis at around 30, where it came to that, and I got hooked up. I got fixed up with a couple of different girls, one of which stole all my weed and was not a nice person, and yeah, I don't really remember or think about that stuff all that much. I just think about the one that I had the feel. I actually had like very strong feelings over, though I didn't really know her either. And I console myself with like that could have been like another catastrophe, and I didn't know that much about her and all that. Because you know, since we're talking about 1908 novels and whatnot, it could have been unrequited on her end, but I knew it wasn't. I knew she was feeling something because I could see it in her eyes. So I try not to think about that too much. Uh, you know, and let's see. I think she was 2 years older than me, so she was age appropriate. She was feeling the clock a little bit, but she showed no signs of age. But I don't think. I think she was feeling. I don't. I think she was feeling that clock a little bit. But uh, hmm, that was 2003. That would put me at 30. Yeah, I was 36 and she was 38. So you know, it's never put a lot of effort into it. Uh, and meanwhile, having a high sex drive that I like would channel into other things or take care of with some good old fashioned pornography. You know, it's like having that disease and having all those issues, and that's not a nice thing. Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, you like me? Uh, you want to have like a romantic relationship? Oh yeah. By the way, by the way, I have this issue. I have that issue. I have this issue. I have an incurable disease, and you're signing up for it because two flesh become one. It's like, would you like to acquire some CRPS to go along with your romantic interest? Uh, well, that's a good hour and 20 minutes. But see, that's why I'm not ashamed of any of that stuff. Is because shame is the enemy. That's a destructive force in people's lives. It causes a lot of grief, and um, the last thing you want to do is, and I've had this experience, is to have people die and to have things go unsaid because you ain't gonna get to say them again. And so, yeah, I don't. I try not to be ashamed of things and the way they turned out. And the funny part is, like, I was taught shame so strongly that I felt it even though I never did anything wrong. So I like grew up around shame and fear and just had a steady diet of it. It's like I always felt guilty and in the wrong when I hadn't done anything, just because of the way I was raised. I was raised Catholic, so and I was around a lot of guilt and fear, and I think my parents were pretty afraid of the world and afraid of themselves, and there was a lot going on behind the scenes there that I'm not gonna talk about. But uh, yeah, I always yeah I never really had a chance uh, emotionally, anyways. I was always gonna be like living inside my own head and alienated and outcast. It didn't matter, in school that's very important. If you're good looking, athletic, uh, have good body, and all that stuff, but none of that stuff mattered because of the way I felt about myself. So I remember, I probably said this before, but I remember a circle of girls in school went over here and I'm talking about me, and they said, uh, he is cute. It's just too bad he's so damn paranoid, you know. So yeah, I was like, I was in ninth grade, Central Catholic High School, and yeah, but no, I don't. Yeah, I don't really hurt over that kind of stuff. Not really, because I don't know why. I just don't hurt over it. It doesn't bother me. I don't like being alone. It's just like a basic simian uh, primate, primal need to be touched and to feel physical affection and all that. But you can survive without it. Um, but I can't help but think of what I could have been if I was nurtured, raised in a different environment, and under different circumstances. I'm sure I'd be an asshole, though. That's one thing I'm pretty sure about is that I would be like a arrogant asshole. I certainly would not be as interesting a person as I am because life would have been easy. And I wouldn't have had to develop my mind to such a degree, and I wouldn't have lived such a disparate life from other people. Where like, well, look that biblical passage up just because it's a nice flowery quote. I was going to do it the other night, but I've been very lazy. But I'm an uncut stone. It's like I was not like the guy was saying about that I played the music for. He's like it's different. It's because a lot of people when they get musical training and stuff, they kind of sound the same, but when you play, it sounds different because uh, you trained yourself. So it's the same thing with my mind. I think in a different way is because I never really went to school. Even when I was in school, I wasn't in school. I wasn't paying attention to what was going on. I was thinking more about, God damn, there's a lot of people in here. What are they thinking about me? How should I act? What should I do? You know? And it's like, after a while, it's like, I don't really care about fitting in with any of these people. wouldn't know how to go about it anyway. But that did not stop the paranoia. So, um, yeah, it's like I didn't care that I didn't want to be like I've said a billion times. Like I didn't want any kind of attention. I didn't want good attention. I didn't want bad attention. So, I guess the reason why I do these videos is mainly because I gotta do something. You gotta do something with your life force and with your energy, and yeah. And once I got on the benzo thing, I was kind of like, yeah, this I'm all fucked up in the head. But I can't pursue my usual avenues of expression. Uh, then the knee thing complicated things where I couldn't walk around, get out of the house, go fishing, do all the stuff that I was used to doing. So I was kind of forced into this, kind of backed into a YouTube corner, and now I'm just kind of used to it. And yeah, and like I said, even if it's like I said, it of course I'll admit those are painful memories, but you know of uh, being so alone and being an incel, being virginal and sweet like I am, and innocent to the wicked ways of the world. It is kind of it stings a bit, but you know not as much as it might other people. It would feel deadly shame over it. Like, oh my God, I'm some kind of freak. I've been a freak for a very fucking long time. So it doesn't bother me, you know. I was physically fucked up when I was 15 years old, so, that's 37 years ago. So I had lots of time getting used to a freak, and even before I was fucked up physically, I was already fucked up in the head and was already weird. So, um, it just doesn't bother me in the same way that it would bother other people, I suppose. It's like I remember talking to that one guy, and it's like you didn't do anything. No, I said no. I just laid there in bed with her and pretended like I was asleep. Oh, I told that story to the guy who owned the van originally. As a matter of fact, he had a sense of humor. Uh, his name was Jim, but I told that to him and his wife, and his wife was mystified, and she was basically said it in a polite way, but she was like, basically, you didn't fuck her? What the hell's wrong with you? She said it in a polite way. She's like, I never heard anything like that before. And it's like, no, I was sober. You know, maybe if I was high or drunk, uh, but I was sober, and I just wanted to see if I could get that, if I could get it to the point where it was within a whisker of being a fait accompli, or whatever that French phrase is that means a done deal. Um, yeah, her her reaction to it was funny, and then she was like, "Don't you want a relationship?" And I was like, "Not really." And she and she did say something about I'd slap your face if you said something like that to me when we were just having random conversation, and I mentioned something that I said to a woman, and then her husband laughed, and I'm like, why not be direct about it? It's like I didn't understand that you had to be like uh, you had to have game. You know what I mean? You had to play games. You had to be sly and what would you call that? Suave? No, you had to like dance around the point. And the point's real simple. It's like I'm attracted to you. Okay, are you attracted to me? But I would say that in so many words, like just blunt. I actually said that, like, I'm attracted to you, to this woman. Didn't know the woman, just said I was attracted to her, you know. And would just do stuff like that. I just didn't play any games. It's like I didn't like, and I had sisters, but they were like no help at all. And I had the sister with the cruel streak, and I had the other sister that she is like absentee. I had a younger sister that had lots of sexual experience, and but she was younger than me, and she wasn't gonna like give me advice on how to woo the female species, like how it's got to be done. And all my friends were pretty inept, so they were like, "Well, you get drunk, you get high, and yeah, you know, it makes it easier." Of course it does. But as far as like, I remember one thing that my sister said is like, you don't ever compliment a woman. You compliment a woman's taste. You don't compliment like, your hair is a pretty color. You don't come out like compliment physical features, because that's basically uh, a veiled form of like, I want to fuck you. So you compliment like their taste, like that's I like your shirt, or that's a cool tattoo, or women compliments is like oxygen to women, is what I've heard. So they like compliments. They like that. So that's what I was told. And I was also told you have to be indirect, and I was always very direct. It wasn't really a matter of shyness. Um, it was a matter of not knowing how to play the game, not knowing how to be the male bird with the plumage and doing the proper dance. It was just go up to it. One bird would go up to the other bird and be like, "Hey, what's up? You got like an hour you want to kill?" But it wasn't really like that. That's the funny part about it, is it was like when I would say I was attracted to a woman, like I actually went up to a woman and didn't know and just said I'm attracted to you. Um, you know, I didn't mean like you got a hot body and I want to jump in the sack with you. Is what I meant is like I, I'm attracted to you, and the you is, I'm not talking about the you that I can see. You know, of course, the you that you can see matters. Of course, it's a physical uh, part of it's always going to be a physical thing. You're always going to have uh, types, and like it, it's sexual, so it's going to be a physical thing. But when I would say attracted to you, I meant like other things besides that. Like attracted to your voice, or like I like your voice. I like the way you handle yourself. I like your mannerisms. You know, if I would have thought to maybe say that shit, or like, to be sly, but at the time, like, in the moment, I mean, I could probably do that shit now if I wasn't all fucked up, but just say something like, I like the way you carry yourself, you know, and they could be like, what the fuck are you talking about? And I'd be like, well, just the way your mannerisms. It's like, it's, you know, just the way you have a way about you, just something nice like that, you know. But that stuff takes experience. That's something that else that pe- people. Yeah, I could use a lot of instruction about a lot of things in life. But yeah, that would have been nice to have a father that wasn't uh, really messed up. That sit down and like give you advice on how. Well, you see, here's how you do it. You know, It's like my parents actually gave me books. They didn't have no sex talk with me or no or anything like that. They was like, I remember my mother giving me this series of books about human sexuality and saying it's about time you read these or something like that. Like I think she might even been blushing when she gave them to me, you know. And then my dad never talked to me about sex at all, which is probably a good thing. But one of the I remember a picture from them books, and I don't remember when she gave them to me, but it had like uh, um, masturbation, and then it had like a stops or like a circle and a line through it, you know. And I don't remember the text, but I remember that picture, and it's like that is not a picture I have heeded very well in my life. But yeah, I don't know who put the series of books out. I don't remember much about the books, but I do remember that they were telling me that it was bad. Don't touching yourself is bad, you know. And I don't remember the text if it said something like it's okay to explore yourself a little bit, but don't go all Lewis and Clark, motherfucker. I don't remember, but yeah, that's just how things were. I could use instruction on that, and guitar lessons would have been nice. And but once my dad lost his job, I wasn't going to get, I wasn't going to get a guitar. I wasn't going to get guitar lessons. I wasn't going to be able to learn about music. I had to try to teach myself. And as far as driving, I could have. There probably was like programs for handicapped people, maybe, but I could have had, and I had thought about it, like a car converted to hand controls. That would have been like, I just didn't. I just figured it'd be more trouble. I was like, I wasn't thinking about it. Like, well, I can drive a girl home. I can do this and I can do that because I could just ride a bike anywhere I wanted to ride a bike and ride a bike 20, 30 miles. So I didn't really think about that, and I just thought, well, now I have to deal with this. Nobody taught me how to pump gas. Nobody taught me anything. So, I have to deal with all these things that I don't know about. I don't know anything about cars. I don't know. I never even pumped gas before. To this day, I've never pumped gas. And I even had a gas-powered motor scooter, but I would just use the gasoline for the lawnmower. And then it got stolen pretty quickly. Um, yeah, you can't just have kids and not teach them anything. That's what I never understood. It's like that was like like I love teaching people. It's like uh, sharing knowledge and stuff like that. It's like if you had a kid, why in the hell wouldn't you teach a kid everything they need to know to get by in the world that you knew? You know, and I can't remember what things. I know my father. I think he disengaged himself from children at a young age, but he would like teach you to tie your shoes. He taught me to sharpen a knife. Uh, he never taught me how to fish. He never taught me a whole lot of anything that I can remember. He taught me to work because he put me to work. I can't. I just can't remember. He probably taught me how to walk a dog, and we had always had dogs, so he probably taught me how to walk a dog and how to manage dogs and how to behave around dogs. I'm sure he taught me that. Um, I can't remember. There's a good hour and 40 minutes. Um, yeah, I have to dig the fretlight guitar out the closet, and I'll make myself do that. Isn't that sad? I have to actually make myself do something like that, like it's work. And I hate the lighting on this video. It's too late now. I gotta get my lamp back off my brother. But I would need the car that I never bought. And Yeah, like I said, my dad lost his job when I was before the all the tumor nonsense and whatnot. So we went from middle class to eating government cheese. Is a bit jarring. From Blue Cross and Blue Shield to no insurance, and yeah. So my parents weren't savers. They didn't save money. They didn't. They had a lot of kids, but my dad had a really high-paying job, but he lost that job and had nothing to fall back on. And he was not expecting to lose the job because he was like 50 years old. He's in his somewhere between 50 and 55 years old when he lost his job. So maybe he was telling himself, well, I'm gonna work until retirement age, which I think was 65 back then, and then I'll do my saving as those last 10 years or 15 years. But they mandatorily retired him and threw us into poverty, real serious poverty. But it's all like a foggy haze of random events. Hmm. Yeah, but I bet you heard something that you never heard before somewhere in this hour and 41-minute spiel. I bet you never heard of somebody having a kitchen chair for a passenger seat in a car before, or a van. And the fact that the cops did not care about that always puzzled me. It's like, yeah, and the seatbelt law thing. There was some good stuff in there. It might have been worth your time. But like I said, I'm going to continue with the current 15 milligram, 5 milligrams a pop a day volume regimen. And I'm going to make myself do that because somewhere in me, I got to have some kind of self discipline, even in my depression. So I'm just going to say this. This is what this fret-like guitar looks like. Accidental psych. Obviously, I'm not holding a guitar, but I did keep my word. I did get the guitar out of the closet and install the program on the computer and get it set up. And I made a video of showing why that guitar is a piece of irony in itself. And it worked and everything. But the video was crap because the state that I was in wasn't good. Like, as a matter of fact, the state that I've been in has not been very good at all because it's the 17th. That earlier part of this was done on the 15th, and for the first time, I've actually taken notes, even though they're small notes on a piece of paper, about what I want to talk about because I tried a couple of takes of this, and well, they weren't good. So it's the 17th, but it feels like the 12th of never. Let's see. Oh, yeah. What do I want to talk about? Uh, the idea of taking a 1908 novel, turning it into a series, and then trying to modernize it with action and throw in extra action and drama and social issues. And you gotta remember, this is 1908, and it addresses the issues of it has like a, a gay high school age kid in it that comes out. Never happened in 1908. It has what was her name? Her name was Miss Josephine Barry that was married, more or less, to a woman, and there's a picture on the wall, but it's in her bedroom of um, her in a dress and um, her life partner. She's in a suit with a top hat. Okay, I don't know if you'll remember this, but there's still jokes I think running around about how Liberace in the early '70s was going around on talk shows saying, and I think maybe even Johnny Carson, but at least Merv Griffin asked him, so why haven't you gotten married or settled down? And he would be like, well, Merv, I just haven't found the right woman. So that's 60 plus years after that novel was written. So the fact that they would take that novel and you know, they kept a lot of the novel, but they would try to like uh, throw in homosexuality into it. It's funny, and they also addressed race. Never happened in the novel. They had a place called Bogtown, where all the what they call them in the movie. They didn't. I think colored. I think they used, which I don't think they even used that word back then. I don't know, but they had like a bog. They called it Bogtown. That's where all the colored people lived. If I may use that word from that they used in the show, if you'll permit me, and like you could stop me. YouTube maybe could stop me. Um, but anyways, so they have this whole thing that's also not in a novel where there's again to amp up the drama and to flesh it out because it's not that long of a novel and they wanted to make a series with it. That's why it's called Anne with an E rather than Anne of Green Gables because they took all these crazy ass liberties with it. But the uh, the love interest for Anne Shirley, Gilbert Blythe, goes on like this adventure where he becomes best friend with a colored person, and so he's the first colored person in their town, and there's a couple people there like don't want to serve him and are like go back to Bogtown where you belong. And of course, Bogtown's a shithole. And anyways, so they throw that in there, and they throw in stuff that was in the book, like this girl was like raised in an orphanage, so she had no idea of proper society and questioned the status quo and stuff. So there was a little bit of like feminism in there, but they addressed that really strongly in in the in this series. But the funniest thing to me was like they had like um, openly or gay characters that were opening up, about being gay. And they even like changed the school teacher around, where the school teacher was a closeted homosexual that was actually extra hard on and punishing the gay dude, with the old theory that people that are gay themselves because they hate themselves or they hate that aspect of themselves want to gay bash. It was basically gay bashing without much bashing in it. He's just rotten to the kid. And they even had like a moment where he dropped something and they picked stuff up off the ground. They both looked into each other's eyes longingly, and the teacher was like, "Get the hell out of here," more or less. But anyway, that's enough about that. Let's look at my notes. Oh, they had a funny thing in there too, where they you know, they wanted to make an action movie like Anne of Green Gables, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger. But so in the book, there's a simple thing where the old lady Marilla Cuthbert that took in the orphan girl, like had a brooch that was in her family for years that turns up missing. She automatically assumes that Anne of Green Gables stole the thing. So she says you either confess to stealing it or was sending it back to the orphanage, and she didn't have no choice. So she made up a lie and said that she uh, did it. And then later on in the book, she finds it, and this takes all of, like, I don't know, maybe 5 pages or something like that. In the movie, it was a whole big drawn out thing where it's two spinsters, a spinster dude and a spinster uh, woman, and the spinster dude takes off after Anne because she runs away from home, which never happens in the book, and even has to cross a ferry, and he's chasing her around, and it's all dramatic and everything. It takes forever. It's very actually works pretty well, and is emotionally moving and all that crap. But none of that's in the book. That's one of the parts that they did that worked. But that, anyways, so that's enough about that. I want to make some corrections from the earlier part of this, and the fact that my younger sister actually does drive and has her license. So I said that we had 7 children in the family, and only one of them drove. 2 of them have licenses and can drive. That's my older brother and my younger sister. And my older sister, she can drive, but she don't have her license yet for some reason. So that I said that wrong, and I wanted to clarify that when I made that joke about not bad for a white boy, I was clothed. Kind of important, because there's leading people on, and then there's leading people on. Okay, that was bad enough without skin on skin contact. What I did. So I remember I was wearing bicycle shorts at the time. I only had one pair of bicycle shorts ever. I never had the nerve to actually bicycle in shorts. Now, one time I did make a horrible mistake. I don't know if I told this on here before, but it's to ride a bicycle everywhere, of course. But I went commando with white shorts on a bicycle on a busy street. It started downpouring, and I got the wet t-shirt effect with shorts. Okay, when I say don't have a lot of shame, I don't have a lot of shame. But that day, I still had 3/4 of a mile, and I covered it pretty quick because I knew that I was basically riding around naked, naked on a bicycle. So just one of those odd memories that pop up in my head from time to time. But yeah, don't digest that image for too long. Especially if you just ate. But it is imagine you're in a car and there's a guy riding by you with the wet t-shirt effect in a pair of shorts. I remember the pair of shorts were an Ohio State pair of shorts, and they had a Tasmanian devil like right here on the leg, and that's about it. Is a little OSU logo and a Tasmanian devil, and then my Tasmanian devil, yeah, it was out on Duber Avenue for all to see. Oh, not good. So, what else I got on this paper? Oh, I said I had no illusions, but if you expect too much out of people, I suppose that is a form of an illusion. If you think that people are better than you are. But that would mean that you're calling hope illusion. And if hope is an illusion, then we're all fucked. So, yeah. I looked I looked up the half-life on Valium, and it's 20 to 70 hours according to drugs.com. And the reason why it's 20 to 70 hours is because it depends on your metabolism. Since I don't get enough exercise and my metabolism's pretty slow. But, like, um, after 5 days, I began to feel like I was exploding inside. And I thought about that, and I was like, that doesn't make any sense. It's like, why am I feeling this bad? Why do I feel like, that whole ants crawling inside you type sensation? Where you just, you just, you don't know what to do, you know. Um, it's a different type of withdrawal. I know they're supposed to do the same things. I know all that, but it's a different type of withdrawal for me than Xanax, stuck in bed, seasick, don't want to eat, type of withdrawal. Where you wake up in the morning and you're like, oh fuck me, man, where's the gun on the bedside table? I wake up and I'm like, ugh. I go out and I get my coffee, and sometimes I'll even sing something stupid as I'm getting my coffee. I don't remember what I was singing today, but I actually did that today. But it's my sleep is completely disrupted. But I was wondering why these last 8 days that I've been under the 25% reduction. That's why I've been feeling so bad. I think I got it figured out. It's just a matter of dose. It's like I made the transition from 30 milligrams a day to 20 milligrams a day because I was still taking 10 milligrams at a time. Now I'm taking 5 milligrams at a time. So basically, I wake up in the morning and I take a 10 milligram pill, and then sometime in the evening, I take a 10 milligram pill. So now, when I'm awake every 8 hours or so, I'm taking a 5 milligram pill. So that's why going a 33% reduction was easy, and this 25% reduction has me reading off a piece of paper because my mind is not good. And anyways, so I think I covered everything I wanted to cover. I have a clearer picture of the whole jumping the van incident. They have those parking bumpers that are like rounded on top, and I hit one of those going quickly, and it helped keep the nose up. And then the hill was pretty extreme, so it wasn't that. There was less chance of us hitting the hill and then flipping over or anything like that because the hill was steep. Just I haven't been around that area or past there for a long time. See, I remember that 8 feet, very conservative estimate. I would put it more at 12 feet off the ground. Very sturdy vehicle, that van, but boom, bounce, bounce. I think you'd break an axle or something like that. But yeah, I got a better picture of that in my head. Now I even remember what the chair looked like, which the kitchen chair that was the passenger seat was yellow. It had a yellow seat and a yellow back, and then the frame was silver. Since this will be tacked on to a video that's already 142 minutes long, I guess I'll keep it there, and hopefully I got everything in that I wanted to get in. So now I will go get the guitar and show you that why that's funny and completely consistent with my entire life and luck. Um, and how you can have a guitar in and of itself be ironic, I don't know. But somehow I managed to buy an ironic guitar. And but I'll talk about that in the video with the guitar once it's right over there. And this will probably be released on the 18th, so I'll just title it, 15th through the 18th. And clearly I'm not feeling too groovy right now. And it's I started on the 10th. It's the 17th. That's 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So that's actually 8 days. It's in the evening here. Almost 7 o'clock, 6:45 in the evening. It's already dark. So most of today is already gone. So I can say it's been 8 days at this reduced dose. How long this is going to take for me to adjust to this where I don't feel quite so foggy brained and whatnot, I don't know. I did make myself a new sleeping pill and it works, at least for me. So I had the funny thought that you know these are maybe these are like bedtime stories to some people, even though I talk about some really heinous crap sometimes. It's like, because I've had people tell me that they relax them, and it's like, I'm the one in bed. You should be telling me a bedtime story. No, but I'm in bed telling you a bedtime story. If you're listening to this and you fall asleep on it, which they're so damn long, and my manner of speech being what it is, and my voice supposedly being soothing. I can't remember this funny word they have, or it's actually an acronym, I think. ASMR or something like that. That for something to do with generating alpha waves and making you calm or whatever. But I don't feel too calm, no matter what I sound like. But I will be happy to read you more bedtime stories about jumping vans with kitchen chairs as the passenger seat in the future. I know it's been a long time since I made a long video for me. It's part of that is because of what I'm doing now. It's like my brain feels somewhat broken at the moment, but it's just like I said, it's got to be the jump from 10 milligrams to 5 milligrams. I'm only shaving 5 milligrams off my daily dose, so it's just the fact that it's a 50% reduction in actual dose when I take the pill. So, but yeah, when you go, like I said, when you go through something bad, it distorts your perception of time, and I'm kind of in that phase right now. So it seems like a very long time since I made the first part of this, and it's only 2 days, really. And without further ado, you will see me right now with the fretlight guitar. Yeah, okay, I actually have to make corrections on my corrections, possibly including unnecessary details, which, of course, when I said that I never rode a bike in shorts, I meant I never rode a bike in bicycle shorts. You know, those ridiculous, tight, hide nothing type things. I had one pair of those. I remember it was orange striped, and I remember I answered the door, and a girl happened to be delivering the pizza, and she was quite appalled by my bicycle shorts. But anyways, never rode a bike in bicycle shorts. Rode a bike in shorts. When I was riding the bike in the shorts and I got the wet t-shirt effect, I wasn't wearing a shirt. I was just had shorts on and shoes and nothing else. I don't remember any of the circumstances. I think all I did was ride to like a pop machine outside this local grocery store called Fisher's, and then ride back and somehow manage to get caught in a cloudburst, heavy type of rain. And so in my 20s, basically riding a bike home naked, and you know, riding through puddles. I remember I hydroplaned at one point and the bike went sideways. It was raining like really heavy. So maybe that helped me out. I don't know. Anyways, I think let's get to the elephant in the room here. This is the fretlight guitar that I bought. This is a left-handed guitar, and they say left-handed because they go by your pick hand. And I pick, I don't know, can't think of anything to play. Anyway, I pick with this hand. That's my left hand. So, and also the contour of the body means that I can reach these frets down here. I've played many right-handed guitars upside down. The other thing that you need to know, and believe me, I'm not gonna try to give any music lesson or show off any musical knowledge or anything like that. That's not the point of this. But I've played plenty of guitars that were flipped upside down. There's even a picture of me with a guitar flipped upside down that maybe I'll just throw up as a... I had a better idea for a picture for the video. But anyways, so, your fret hand can reach all the way down here. So you got the cutaways lower. So that's, this is a left-handed guitar. Left-handed guitars are always more expensive than right-handed guitars because the ratio, I don't know what the ratio is to right-handed guitar players to left-handed guitar players, but it might be one lefty to 100 righties. I know I used to go into guitar stores and they would have a token left-handed guitar and be the only one in the shop. And I remember when I bought my first real brand new guitar in 1996, I didn't get to play it. I had to order it out of a catalog because they didn't have a left-handed guitar in the entire store. The store was Gulia Music, and looked at the right-handed one, and I was like, I want that one. And yeah, that was in 1996. So what that has to do with this guitar is that it's like makes tons more sense to buy a right-handed guitar if you want a right-handed guitar. These lights here are upside down because this is a type of scale that's just called an E pentatonic blues scale. They just call it the blues scale. It's in minor. It's upside down. I could demonstrate that pretty clearly. That the lights are wired for a right-hander. Now, why would anybody? I have no idea why anybody would buy a more expensive left-handed guitar, and somehow the lights that are supposed to teach you things are wired for a right-hander. Now, there's some way that I can flip that around, but I'm pretty sure. But I bought this like during the meth crisis type deal, so I was like, I just didn't want to mess with it. I was like, I wasn't in like a learning type of mode. But anyways, let's just see. I'll look at it on here. You see this note right here, with that light right there. Okay, this is the blue note that they added. That's called the blue note. So the scale, if it was lit up, that note, it should be right here on this string right here, but it's not. So it should be. So you may or may not recognize this. This is not plugged in, but all this is just walking that scale down. So that's without all the nice effects and all the bass backup and all that. That's of course Green Sunshine of Your Love. It's actually do 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 do. You know. But that note is not there because it's over here because it should be flipped around. Okay, now I am probably the only person that this has ever happened to that bought a left-handed fret-like guitar with right-handed lights. So, I mean, there it is. That could only happen to me. Uh, so I was like mildly disappointed, you could say. I was like, I did find it funny, and at first I was like, well, you know, I didn't care at the time, so I was like, yeah, you can borrow it to this one pseudo guitar buddy. So yeah, you can borrow it and mess with it. It's already lit up for right-handers, but he wasn't into it. But there's a way I can flip that around, I think. Like 99.9% sure, if my memory serves me right, I can flip that around to the lights are right. Uh, I just picked a scale I was familiar with and something that could demonstrate that easy enough. Like if you did that, uh, it sound really weird probably. Not quite the same. Anyways, so yeah, as you can see, dawn is breaking. I had a very busy and long night and did many, many things. It was very productive and stuff. So I finally finished this video. And yeah, so I am getting to be sleepy. And it snowed, man. You can't see it out the window, but there's barely any light out there. But there's a bunch of snow out there, and that's why that window is so bright, even though dawn hasn't really broken fully around here. So after I get off here, I gotta go close the window in the living room, and the cat is going to be stuck outside. But all I can do is stick my hand out the window and ring a bell and let him know that a safe haven if you want it. I can't stay awake for, you know. But he was always built for the cold. So, anyways, I'll see you next time. Hope you enjoyed it. Goodbye.